Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
They're saying that the bodies were found on the Mexican side of the Rio Bravo. The Salvadorian government released a statement where they say that the father and daughter drowned on Sunday, the 23rd, as they attempted to cross the river. But again, you can't look at this, and this photo is just tough to look at. I'm wondering, though, is it going to move the needle here?
No, it's not going to move the needle. It's not. Because the politics is too good. The tribalism in the politics is too good. The money in the politics is too good. That's the reality of it. That is it. They passed a bill, for those of you not keeping score last night.
They have it lined up right now, so it was random draw who got tonight.
And that bill is, here's the way, when I was talking yesterday to Congressman David Schweikert, he said to me, look, here's the bill. The bill is really interesting in the sense that no Republicans really were involved in any of this. Okay? So there's no Republicans involved in any of this. And on top of that, this entire situation is and Trump's already just come out and said, I don't think I'm going to sign this. It's unclear if I'm going to sign this, because what it does is while it gives aid, it also handcuffs a lot of things that ICE and the people that are trying to defend our border from other people coming here are allowed to do. So there's another bill in the Senate. They're working that through. You've got a lot of Democrats that are fighting amongst themselves right now saying, we need to do something. I said yesterday, why not a clean bill? Why can't we have a clean bill right now that deals with at least this portion of it? An emergency funding, we deal with this portion so we can stop looking like the buffoons when it comes to what's going on, in particular with the kids. Why can't we do that? David Schweikert said to me, nobody wants to, because the politics is too good. The tribalism, because I've never seen tribalism in politics like I see it now. That, to me, is scary. Yeah, it's an awful photo. And I debated. Producer Anthony and I, we handle all the social media here because we're a huge, major show with just, like the four of us just doing our thing, scattered amongst the country. And he debated on whether or not we put it in the Facebook page. I tweeted it out, and I debated whether or not to do that. It's an awful picture. But understand that it's only being used in a lot of ways to attack one another. That's what it's being used as. How can I take this tragedy and in many ways make it my own so I can demonize the other side and raise money on my side? And that's not right. And today, Chuck Schumer he's just the worst, but today he was extra worse.
How could President Trump look at this picture and not understand that these are human beings fleeing violence and persecution, willing to risk a perilous, sometimes fatal journey in search of a better life?
Enough. Really? Any human being worth their weight in salt. You could say a lot. Look, there's a lot about Trump that I don't like. A lot of the things that I don't like about Trump, right, or his appetites for excess when it comes to certain thing and his attitude, the way he talks. But this isn't Trump's fault. There's a systemic failure in the way our politics is functioning right now. And it is functioning awful. We are not doing the best for the people. We are not doing the best for the country, because we have now gotten to the point where we're so tribal that the party matters far more than the people does, and holding on to the power is of utmost importance. And so why would you want to stop? Why would you want to stop this if you can raise money on it? Why would you want to stop this if you can make this a talking point going in to the next election? Why would you want to stop that? thing about politics is that I sit back and I'm fascinated with is watching people. It shows you what politics is so much about is keeping, if you will, the disease around and not finding a cure. Because in the private sector, private sector is all about accomplishments. Look what I accomplished. Look what I won. Look what we did. Look how we grew. I finished this. Politics is not about that. It's about, whoa, hold on here. Don't find a cure. Hold on here. Don't find a solution. Hold on here. Stretch that problem. And it's sad. It's sad. It really is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. You could tweet at me. Before I prematurely touch this button, I want to tell you, hope you're having a wonderful day. Tonight is the night 10 people will enter. And all 10 will leave because it's not a death match. It is only a debate.
They have it lined up right now, so it was random draw, who got tonight, who gets tomorrow night. And then it's positioned in such a way that the candidates with the highest polling figures are in the middle, and it spreads out from there. The way this is being done, no opening statements, so no candidates are going to have no opening statements. They have 2 hours, which includes commercial breaks. They get 1 minute answers, 30-second rebuttals. So I did the math on this when you subtract out time for the questions, the commercial breaks. It averages about 8 minutes per candidate.
It's not going to average out to 8 minutes. I'll tell you why. First of all, you have 5 moderators, right? And everybody's going to want to have their say because it's just as important for them. Secondly, nobody ever sticks to the time limits they're supposed to. So I say about 5.5 minutes at best. Now, tonight, and by the way, I like how where you are in as far as the polling goes is the closer you are to the center. So based on that, most of these people should be in the audience, and it should be essentially Elizabeth Warren standing up there by herself. So you got Cory Booker, Julian Castro, Bill de Blasio, Delaney, right? Who is, again, couldn't pick him out. Honest to God, when I saw his picture, I thought, why is the guy that was on My Three Sons running for president? Found out it's not him. Tulsi Gabbard, who I like, and I'll explain a little bit. Inslee, who's a one-trick pony, is going to talk all night about climate change, and they'll ask him a question like, what do you think about health care? Well, if we took care of climate change, we won't have to worry about health care. What do you think about immigration? Well, if we took care of climate change, so Klobuchar, she's a nothing. Beto, his final, this is it. This is his Hail Mary, sweet Jiminy Cricket. This is my last chance. Tim Ryan, not the football announcer. But I don't know. A nothing. And then Elizabeth Warren, who tonight is her show, right? Tonight is her show. So we'll see. We'll see how this rolls out tonight. But if I'm them, I continue to tell people. I look around and I talk to a lot of people who work in both the Democratic side of the aisle and the Republican side of the aisle. You don't need to tell everybody you can't stand the president. You don't need to tell everybody how bad the president is. What you need to do is to live to fight another day. So you're going to have to get tough. And if you want to win, realize during the last debates, right, that went on when it was showtime for the Republicans and Democrats, Hillary was, as we all know, finding out later, she was coronated on that side. On the other side, though, Trump looked around and everybody else was running for president and Trump was running to be the nominee. And that's what you have to do. You have to run to be the nominee. So what that means is you got to come out hitting hard. And you're going to have to look at people and you're going to have to say, you're full of crap. That's not going to work. Challenge them because, you have to separate yourself. And then if that doesn't work, well, then you know what? Freak out. Do something else. Tonight, I'm looking for, I think Tulsi Gabbard is interesting. I like her because, first of all, for her service. Secondly, she has been harder on, she has a real issue at times where she feels she gets pulled to the left and feels like she needs to be woke. But she's been for traditional marriage. She has been, as far as marijuana and stuff like that, she's all about legalization. As far as the toughness on Syrian and Iraqi refugees, she was one of the only, if not the only Democrat to vote with the Republicans about vetting them better. She was the only Democrat, if I'm correct, that met with the Trump campaign after they became the president-elect. She's an interesting character, and I like her. I got a little crush on her. I'm not going to lie to you. but I think she's semi-interesting comparatively to everybody else. And all of them tonight are going to talk about all the stuff they're going to give you. Who's going to differentiate themselves? Because the noise is going to be the exact same. It's like you're watching. You know what it is, and I said this to my buddy yesterday. He's a Democratic. He goes out and he works with campaigns. I said to him, you're essentially you're acting, and which person gets the part? Because they're all pretty much going off the same script. So who can outact one another? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. And, oh, yes, let's talk about it, even if it's for just a brief moment.
The point of having Mueller.
Well, our interest is for the American people to hear it from him. There's been a campaign of misrepresentation by Attorney General Barr. So it's important the American people hear from him what the report found. It's important that he answer a lot of specific questions. But I think it's important the American people hear from him what he did find and what he didn't find.
All right. So this is what I think they're going to do. What did you find? Why didn't you come up with obstruction? Why didn't you choose one way or another when it came to obstruction? And he's going to say,
the report is my testimony. I would not provide information beyond that which is already public in any appearance before Congress.
People are saying it's must-see TV. It's really not. Because by the time, why is this must-see TV? Who is sitting around caring about this, minus the people in the Beltway? Average Americans not. They don't care. They want to just move on with this, and it's over. It's done with. You're not going to impeach him. Even if you try, you're going to fail. It's been there. It's done that. Your whole thing is to drag this on for what? As long as you possibly can? And then what? By the time this is said and done, you'll either have another 4 years of Trump or somebody new will be there. We got other things that we need to be worrying about. We got other things that we need to be taking care of. And this, yeah, it's a non-starter. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, tweet at me. Hope to hear from you. What do you think about the debates? You going to watch the debates tonight? I'm going to watch the debates, but not only is it my job, because, again, I want to see, who can impress, right? Take it from a pure person who's looking and saying, all right, well, you know what? Trump's doing his thing, and he's going to have a resume come November of next year. Is anybody else going to impress enough that gets me interested? That's why I'm watching it. You going to watch it? You're not going to watch it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Oh, man. Interest rates through the roof. We've been hearing about how high and how expensive things are. Credit cards are so expensive. You think student loans are expensive? Try 19% APR on average. So what do? You go to Lightstream and you get a credit card consolidation loan from 5.95% with autopay. Boom. That is huge. Saving money, able to do other things, able to pay debt down. It's really a smart thing to do. And I'm telling you guys right now, it's so easy to. There's no fees. There's no prepayment penalties. None of that stuff. And for my listeners, there's even a special interest rate discount. How do you get it? You go to lightstream.com/Benson, lightstream.com/Benson. Guess what? You can apply today, and in the same day, you can even get your money in a lot of cases. What? Yeah. What are you waiting for? Do it now. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% autopay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offers subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. Chad Benson Show.
Boys, give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers.
One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
The ACLU has asked the Supreme Court to hold off on ruling on a lawsuit over the citizenship question, citing a federal judge in Maryland who said this week that newly discovered evidence related to the alleged discriminatory intent behind the question needs to be examined. The Justice Department, in response, disputed the need for a delay. It's expected the Supreme Court would rule on the case by the end of the week, as the High Court accepted the case on an expedited basis because the Census Bureau is under a time crunch to get the final census questionnaires printed.
Yeah, so SCOTUS is still meeting. There's lots of things out there, and tomorrow looks like the day it might take this on. And apparently there's some sort of extreme situation, right? Extreme. I don't see a problem with it. Others do. Oh, it's racist. Everything's racist nowadays, right? Everything's racist. Hey, I love your accent. What are you, a racist? You're right. Totally. That's exactly what it was. I wanted to find out what your accent was and find out where you're from so then I could go all xenophobia on you. Whew. You caught me. You caught me. Good God. Everything's racism. See racism in everything. You're like, that's a nice black T-shirt. It's an African-American T-shirt. Okay, sorry. Racist. You jerk.
With no sign that the Boeing 737 MAX is close to being approved to fly passengers again, now a possible new problem with the plane. The FAA confirming it has found a potential risk involving the aircraft that Boeing must mitigate. It comes as the FAA evaluates updates to the MAX software meant to prevent the nose-down issue that played a role in 2 deadly crashes. The FAA saying it will allow the plane to fly again once it deems it safe to do so.
Yeah, this is not a good look for Boeing. They're having more and more issues, and just when they thought that maybe something might come of this and they can get out of this situation, along comes a new issue, and this is another flaw. And God, my question is how did this get through? Here's the thing: you got a governmental agency. Who what? Oh, yeah. They're there to protect us. Well, this is crony capitalism because it sounds like Boeing was helping them along, protecting us. And Boeing's got a serious issue. And I don't see this thing going away anytime soon. And they're talking about a significant flaw. Not quite sure what it is yet, but I'm sure we'll find out sooner rather than later. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson. Shoo is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Other people's money. A lot of people are really, really, really into other people's money. We will talk about that. Look ahead to the big debates. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I hate it, and I know it could stop immediately if the Democrats change the law. They have to change the laws. And then that father, who probably was this wonderful guy with his daughter, things like that wouldn't happen because that journey across that river is a very dangerous journey.
Yeah, that's Trump talking about the picture, and it's tough. It's a tough thing. And it's funny because, people are like, he said probably. It's like, he didn't say for sure. It's like, get real. It's just, we have nobody who is really interested in fixing the problem, right? Like, okay, we're going to pass this bill. It's not a clean bill because we put a bunch of other stuff in there that will do this. And we know he probably won't sign it, but it's great because that way we can go right back into the politics of it all. And then everybody makes their way down to, the border, and they have their moments, right? Like, we were talking, if you've not seen the Ocasio-Cortez photos, right? Like, Phil and I were talking about it today. We're like, feels a little bit Instagram-y, right? Like, okay, I'm going to pose, you do this. And then I read the Babylon, if you guys don't know the Babylon Bee is, that's kind of like the Onion. And they said that they passed a bill today to fund more tears for, more fake tears for Congress people at the border, because while it's heartbreaking and stuff, some of it looks so ridiculously staged. And part of that is because that's what you want, right? You got Elizabeth Warren out there. She's got her hat on, right? She's, got the bullhorn and she's talking and she's saying that, they're marching around like they're in prison. And I'm like, so they're in a straight line? My child has to get in a straight line every day at school, for God's sakes. Remember, These facilities and the people that are there at this point in time who are taking people in, especially at the beginning of this, that are Border Patrol, they were like, hey, guess what? This is the job. You're going to protect the border, and you're also going to be a nanny, and you're also, that wasn't the gig. And it's crazy. And we have a broken system, and the broken system's not going to get fixed because nobody wants to get it fixed. The House passes something that they know Trump's probably not going to sign, because what it does is it limits certain parts of the agencies like ICE and whatnot and things that they're able to do, right? The on the other side of it, you've got the Senate doing their own thing.
I'm glad that the bipartisan Senate border supplemental has passed with an overwhelming vote. I commend Chairman Shelby, Senator Leahy, and the members of the Appropriations Committee for breaking the logjam.
Yeah. And think about this for a second, right? You look at what there's a battle right now, even amongst the Democrats. We're like, look, we need to do something. We absolutely have to do something. And so before the vote even took place with the Senate today, before that even took place, Nancy's like, nah. So think about this. No input, really, from Republicans on, and a couple other things that they tried to add amendments to the bill that they didn't get in, and it was noted, and away it went, and the House had their thing. The Senate, the House was party lines. The Senate, 84-8. Not going to happen, though. It's not. She's not going to entertain it. She's already rejected the bill, even before the vote was taken. So think about that for a second. 84-8. I will tell you, there's not 84 Republicans in the Senate. It's razor thin. So what does that say? Politics. BS. It's that simple. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love to hear from you. So I saw this guy last night. His name's Chuck Collins. And I've seen him before, but he's written some books. It's all about, inequities. His books are like 99-1. Everything's about everybody else's money, right? Like it's always about everybody else's money. And he's a senior scholar at the Institute for Public Policy Studies in D.C. And he directs the program of inequity and the common good. So he's also the co-founder of the Wealth of the Common Good, which is like super awesome. And it's interesting because I listened to him. By the way, he's the great grandson of Oscar Mayer, right? That, so he's been brought up relatively well. So he said this last night, and this is the frustration. I want to talk to people about capitalism who maybe don't quite get it. And my frustration with the as what you'll see tonight in the debates, which is other people's money and how can we use other people's money and how lucky everybody else is. If you're a success, it's lucky, and it's always because of somebody else.
Let's be clear. These extreme levels of income and wealth inequality that we're living through have nothing to do with individual effort or deservedness.
Okay, so nothing to do with individual effort or deservedness. Now, what he's going to say here coming up is very interesting. But it's nothing to do with individual effort or deservedness.
These are deeply systemic inequalities that are the result of rigged rules in the economy, right? And yet, those powerful stories still persist. You may have noticed that data doesn't change people's minds, but powerful stories can resist all the data you provide.
Yeah, data never changes anybody's mind, as we found out. In fact, there's a very finite amount of people in the United States and probably globally that are open-minded enough to look at something and go, I didn't know that. That changes my mind. Now, people will change their mind based on experiences, but just flat out data. So what do you have to do? You have to tell a story, right? Everybody likes to tell a story. I'm sorry, Chuck, please continue. And by the way, we're efforting to get Chuck on the show because I like to have everybody on the show. I want to talk to him about it because, again, it's like an hour and a half thing, and the whole thing's about other people's money, and he tells these stories and about, it's always about the death tax and the air tax and those kind of things.
And so one of the things that I encourage people to do wherever they are is to try to lift up and tell true stories of how Advantage works and demystify and disrupt the story of individual deservedness.
It's the same old same. And he goes through this whole thing, and a lot of it is about, wealth tax and what do we need to do to get these people to bring their money back here and give it out. And it's not about he said it's not about philanthropy. It's about giving it to the government and letting them. And it drives me crazy because all the while, right? And he talks about how the powerful. Let me tell you something. You want to know where powerful is? It's Washington, D.C. That's where powerful is. Money courts power because they want things, and power loves money because they like to keep their fiefdom, and one feeds the other. That's crony capitalism right there. That's what that is. So I talked about this earlier, and we were talking about this, and somebody tweeted it at me and texted me and said, what a jerk you are. You're not going to go to heaven. It was pretty hilarious. I'm like, what? Like, oh, is this Jesus? And so I text back. I'm like, is this Jesus? And he's like, well, it's all about greed. People don't need that much money. I said, this is what you fail to understand about success of people. And that's what it is. It's not about greed, right? It's not about greed. Everybody's like, well, Gordon Gekko, a made-up character in a movie. But it's about achievement. It's about success. And I don't think people understand that. When you grow, when you build, when you do certain things, and when you and you get to a certain, you're not paying attention. They've done study after study that after $70,000 a year, your happiness level really doesn't change that much. It doesn't. Now, you may have less worries, obviously, but your happiness level, for a lot of people, a majority of people, it is about achievement. It is. And we always talk about the when it comes to like the money, and again, other people's money, the likes of Bernie and everybody want, we're going to tax this, we're going to do this, and we're going to take this, and you shouldn't have this kind of money, and you didn't do it yourself alone. I've never once said, look, I've got a decent amount of success in my life, but I never once said I did it alone. I love mentoring, I love giving back, but that's between me and the people that I do it with, and I try to help people grow and get to better positions and do everything I can for them. And not at the, if you will, the point of a gun. But what other people's money does is a temporary fix. We never talk about the long term. And they always say, well, trickle-down economics doesn't work. And it doesn't work when it comes to government as well. Because look at government programs and what a mess they are. What a mess they are. And it's nuts. It is. But it's always about other people's money. People are so obsessed about other people's money. This is Bernie. I think I got it the right place today. He's talking about Medicare for all, but he talks about something that's happening with CVS and I think it's Aetna.
No, I understand that Republicans will attack me every day. They're going to already spend.
It's not just Republicans.
You're right.
Some of your Democratic colleagues are not with you on
and
this.
the pharmaceutical industry will. But we have got to ask ourselves, in terms of our healthcare system, do we think it's appropriate for one guy who makes a deal, the guy who's head of Aetna, to get $500 million as a bonus for putting together a merger between Aetna and CVS? That's what this healthcare system is about. It's about making huge profits for the insurance companies and the drug companies. No other country tolerates that. We shouldn't as well.
So, CEO Mark Bertolini. By the way, if the deal goes through, he's out of a job, but he's going to get $500 million. He's not. He's getting $10 million cash. The rest of it are options that he's purchased and shares that he already owns. Since he's joined the company and saved them, Aetna was struggling. They're up 400%. Right or wrong? I don't think he's thinking about the money. It's an achievement for him. It's another thing. But everybody else is always worried about other people's money. And I'm just curious about that. I've never once in my life cared about other people's money. I find it fascinating that people are successful and what they do. I want to find out how you get so successful. What did you do? But I've never once said the best thing that we can do is take that money and give it to somebody else. No, if you really want people to be successful, pass that knowledge on, pass that success on with how you got there. So that way, when you become successful, you'll have that knowledge on how to get there. And by the way, everybody wants to be successful. If that wasn't true, everybody wants to have money. If that wasn't true, there wouldn't be a lottery. I'm just letting you guys know there wouldn't be a lottery. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. Love it. And I try to get back to you all. I can't always do it. And by the way, if your first words out of your mouth are F you, or you're this, or you're going to die, or I hate you, it's the end of a conversation. I just want to let you guys know. Not being a jerk. Don't care what you say. You can say all the horrible things, but I'm not going to engage with people who come out of the box with you're an effing this or you're an effing that or I hope you die or whatever it is, because you're just interested in gaslighting and being a clown.
It feels like for at least a year, the scientific and workplace communities have been debating the merits of sitting versus standing, with some reports going so far as to say sitting is as bad as smoking. We'll now consider this study that says it depends on where you're sitting. If it's in front of the TV, there's a greater risk of heart disease and premature death. But if you're sitting at work, that link doesn't appear to exist. The study in the Journal of the American Heart Association doesn't explain why work sitting is better than TV sitting. It does say the bad effects of binge watching TV can be moderated by exercising.
I'll tell you why. Because when you're at work, you're probably not pigging out and eating. That's why. And if you just worked out a little bit, exercised a little bit, did some of those things a little bit, wouldn't have to worry about that. Oh, you're right, Chad. You jerk. Lecturing us. No, I'm just saying. Look, if my butt can get out and go for a walk on several occasions during the day, I think anybody can. I'm just letting you guys know. And right now in Phoenix, we're like 107. So if I can get out there, anybody can do it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Wounded Paw is an amazing organization I'm working with. They connect animals that would be euthanized from shelters with veterans, first responders, and their family. 20 veterans a day commit suicide, and they're struggling. And bringing an animal from a shelter that's close to being put to sleep and training them to be a service dog is so amazing and rewarding. And to watch how this goes and works, it is incredible. And they call it Save a Paw to Save a Life, and it really is so much more than just that. But they need your help. And that is where you come in. RV, truck, boat, scooter. Don't care what you have, kind of vehicle, car. It's sitting around. You know what to do with it. You're not going to do anything at all with it. You may trade it in. You may sell it. Don't do that. Donate it to Wounded Paw. Get your tax-deductible gift and save a paw and save a life. Go to woundedpawproject.org. That's woundedpawproject.org, or call them at 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729. Again, check them out at woundedpawproject.org. They also accept cash, which is always nice, too. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where the sensible center hangs out. Hey, you! That doesn't mean you can put your feet up on the table.
You're despicable. This is Chad Benson.
I'm in a fantastic position. It's nothing but upside. Again, like, no one's going to want to take shots at, like, the, 5th or 6th ranked candidate on stage.
Look at that. That's Andrew Yang. He's going to be handing out $100 bills, too. What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? Could you imagine going to a strip club with him? He'd just be just everywhere. What are you guys doing, man? I'm taking care of people. That's who I am. That's not very nice, Chad. You're such a jerk. It's going to be interesting tonight. He is, again, this is it. I don't even know who some of these people are. By the way, my man Hickenlooper apparently is already struggling because they mistook him for a member of the media. No, I got to be on stage. It's like being in one of those big bands, right? They have like 40 people. Like you could be in UB40 and nobody would know. Hey, you need to get off stage. I'm the trumpet player. Oh, we didn't know. I'm salaried. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Well, he invited them even after she said, and this is Megan Rapinoe, one of the stars of the U.S. women's national soccer team, when asked if she was going to go to the White House.
I'm not going to the White House. No, I'm not going to the White House. We're not going to be invited.
You're not going to be invited?
I doubt it.
And Trump's been critical because she wouldn't stand for the anthem, and she stands at the World Cup game. She will put her hand over her heart. She said she'll never sing the anthem again until, I don't know. Everybody's got to protest, and they're never going to do something again, but they never really put until what? But Trump invited them, and you've got her and somebody else has already said, we're not going to go. So, fine, do it. I really don't care if you go or not. I still find the whole thing silly that anybody shows up at any of those things. Just like I still think it's silly that we pardon turkeys or have an Easter egg roll. Just throwing it out there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That there, kids and kittens, is your Twitter and Instagram. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It shows a father, Oscar Ramirez, and his daughter, Valeria. She's 23 months old, and they died within feet of the U.S. border, crossing the Rio Grande, trying to get to the United States to seek asylum. Are we doing enough? Is Washington doing enough to protect and care for the people trying to get into this country?
No, we're not. Any parent who sees that image has got to be profoundly disturbed.
Yeah, that's Senator Coons right there. It's a disturbing thing. Now, here's the thing. It's disturbing, but it's going to be used. It's going to be used because politicians never, ever. We used to allow somewhat of a dust to settle on a situation, right? We used to allow a few days to go by for the emotions to happen. Now, no, not going to happen. Just not going to allow that to happen. We're going to use this for political gain. We're not going to use this to fix a broken system. And a system right now, let's step away for a second, right? From a situation where we're trying to fix immigration to a position where we need to just address, in particular, the children, right? Let's address that. The other stuff, you guys are going to play grab ass. You're not going to do the things you need to do. You're going to use each and every opportunity to run to a microphone and talk about how it's the other side's fault. You're going to blame each other. Trump's going to blame the Democrats. Democrats are going to blame Trump. It's blah, 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 blah. And it's you're so addicted to the game. I said earlier, we need to have an intervention, right? Where you're like, you say, hey, you guys need to all come over to the hotel. And like there's a bunch of people, like Uncle Sam sitting there and he's reading to you. You used to be really cool, but you're a jerk now. You used to want to do the best thing for the people, and now you just take our money and you just laugh at us, and we can't have you here anymore. So I can't be your friend until you go to rehab. That's what we should have happen. So this will be used, and it's an awful, awful, horrible thing. Chuck Schumer, right, who I'm no fan of, reminded me today why I'm no fan of Chuck Schumer when he did this.
How could President Trump look at this picture and not understand that these are human beings fleeing violence and persecution, willing to risk a perilous, sometimes fatal journey in search of a better life?
Yeah, well, we're all in search of a better life. And we have laws. And if we're not going to either fix those laws or enforce those laws, then what the hell are we doing? But it's not about that. This isn't about fixing the asylum laws. This isn't about the treatment of the children. This isn't about anything other than photo opportunities, raising money, damning the other side. It is the disease is where all that cash is, not the cure, not the solution. They love it. What's that? It's the disease. Tastes so good. They love it. They're not going to give it up. They're not. They're going to soak it all up. They're going to go down. They're going to have their photo ops with the kids, right? They're going to scream and yell. They're going to shed tears. They're going to take their Instagram photos. They're going to raise money. And they're going to love the politicking of it all. And that doesn't help you or I or anybody else. And quite frankly, I say shame on everybody in that beltway for not doing the things they need to do. Especially when it comes to the kids. The immigration thing, I've given up. I don't think anybody's good, because I don't think they want to stop. I don't think they have any desire to give it up. I think they love it. They need it. It is a drug to them. And it's on us to figure out, do we kick them out and do a little tough love and maybe they learn? And the people that come in behind them do the right thing, put people before the party, have common sense immigration reform where we don't let everybody who comes here just wander into our country, give us a fake phone number, and then wander around for 5 years and hope and pray that they show up because we're hoping to build a voter base of the future that will be permanently in the Democratic side struggling? Do we let them wander here and keep wages down and fight against American workers for jobs and allow companies to play this game? No. But the addiction to the money and the power and the politicking, it's a trifecta right there, kids. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit? No. Money, power, politicking. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. The debates tonight. All right, here are the rules for the debate. Ding, 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 ding. Everybody come in. Here's the rules. No hitting below the belt, which is the first thing you should do, by the way. We'll talk about that in a second. Second thing is 565 moderators. Each one of them will have just as much time as you. You will be placed in a position based upon your poll numbers right now and where you're going to be in that position in dead center, if you will, for lack of a better term. Liawatha, you'll be there. Oh, Chad, once again, you're being an absolute jerk. Beto, for whatever reason, you're still hanging around. So you're going to be right next to her, and then it fans itself out from there. Second thing is you get 1 minute, and then you get a 30-second rebuttal, and away we'll go. Now, to me, so this is the way it works out. De Blasio, way over there. John Delaney, way over there. Inslee next to him, Tulsi Gabbard, Amy Klobuchar, Beto O'Rourke, Elizabeth Warren. They're dead center. Then you got Cory Booker, right to the right side of E-Dub. That's what I call her. Julian Castro next to Booker. Tim Ryan, don't know who he is. Neither does anybody else. And then, of course, de Blasio. That's the way it's going to shape up. Now, if I'm them, I never once mentioned Trump, and I run to be the nominee, I don't run to be the president. That's what Trump did. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but I'll tell you guys again. Trump looked around, and he said, I can't be president tonight. I'm running to be president. I've got to beat them and be the nominee first. So I'm running to be the nominee, then I'll run to be president. Everybody else is running to be president. And they'll do the same old same. They're going to talk about the same old same. It's who's going to separate themselves tonight. And I have no idea if any of them over the next 2 days are going to separate themselves at all. They're going to come out and talk about the same old same. They've been primed for it. You can already tell what everybody's going to say. Case in point.
Our program to raise the minimum wage to a living wage of $15 an hour, and I'm proud to be leading that effort in the Congress. I think this is U.S. House will pass that bill in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Which isn't going to go anywhere because we see what bills do. Last night they passed an immigration bill in the House. Senate passed one today. Pelosi says, I'm not looking at it. So these bills mean absolutely nothing. You know that, and I know that. And I want to, and the whole living wage, minimum wage kind of thing, I just want to, we have about 1.8 million people that are on minimum wage. Majority of them are teenagers, right? And a majority of the people that are living, half of that is people who are getting paid under minimum wage. But those aren't people that are getting paid less. They're making more because they're waitresses and waiters and, you get where I'm going with this. But it's a great thing. It's living wage, $15, living wage, $15, living wage, 15. That you're going to hear that all day long. You're going to hear healthcare. It's right. Free education's right. Big banks are bad. Money is evil. Blah, 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 blah. Somebody, though, needs to step up. And remember, it's not about niceties. It's about, if you're serious about that, it's about winning. It's about separating yourself. It's about looking over and going, your plan is ridiculous. And it's going to cost the American taxpayers so much more money. And based on the things that go on in government, it's probably going to cost double that. And by the time we realize it, it's going to be just a giant mess. It's not going to work. And you say it's not going to hurt the middle class, but guess what? It's going to. It's going to. It'll be interesting. We'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. And again, I try to answer everybody. I do. I just want everybody to understand. I try to answer every single person back. Doesn't mean I always do. But I do the best I can. That's all I'm saying, guys. That is all I'm saying. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You could tweet at us. The debate on gender reignites, but in a different place. This time it reignited in Scotland. We will talk about that straight ahead on the Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
The gender debate never goes anywhere in this woke world. Case in point, it's not just us. This is Scotland, which is a great place. I've been there. And a battle between a teacher and a student when it comes to the gender debate.
I think it's silly to have anything other than two genders.
Okay.
Anything
else
is
Could you please keep that opinion to your own house? I'm not putting my opinion out. I am stating what is national school authority policy. Okay?
Well, it's not scientific whatsoever.
Not every policy is scientific, not every policy is scientific, Murray.
I'm simply saying there are two genders, male and female.
Yeah.
Anything else is a personal identification.
Yeah. And I think he sounds, he's either American or Canadian, right? Because he doesn't sound Scottish. Because you can understand what he's saying, Scotland, a lot of times you don't. When I lived there, it took a long time to understand what anybody was saying. But the two gender debate is there. And we were discussing this because producer Anthony's like, this guy's my hero, this kid. And we were joking about it because, it's a black and white. And I understand what he's saying. What he's essentially saying is, you're identifying as this, but the debate as far as how many genders there are, scientifically, there's two, right? That's it. You could say you're two-spirited or whatever you want to call yourself, but scientifically, this is what you get.
And you can't come out here and say that I'm not being inclusive when someone says something you disagree with.
I said what you were saying was not being inclusive.
You kicked me out of class. If you want to have a discussion about it, we could have had a discussion. You don't have to kick me out of class. Said I state something I believe in. You kick me out of class for 30 minutes and I'm waiting on the
Take this somewhere else, Murray. You can make an official complaint.
I'm not going to make an official complaint.
Why not?
I just think it's...
I know what you think, and I know what the authority thinks. I know what the authority's point of view is very clear that we make no discrimination on the grounds of various...
I wasn't making discrimination. I'm simply saying there are two genders.
And he's right. He wasn't discriminating. First of all, he's a student. Secondly, You can hear. Here's the thing with the instructor, who's put probably in a position, because I feel like the instructor's almost saying, Murray, I agree with you, but these SOBs up top, he's right, master, they're telling me I've got to tell everybody this is what it's all about. You deal, you understand, you get it. It's this, and this is what made Jordan Peterson really a big thing. And if you don't know who he is, you got to check Jordan Peterson out. His whole thing was the thought police, if you will, right? The language police, where you must acknowledge all of these things. And if it comes to scientific notions, you've got to throw it out. And he's like, look, I'll call anybody by the pronoun they want. You want to be he, you want to be she, you want to be this, you want to be, what is it? It's not, it's they, is it they, the, I don't know. Whatever it is you want to be called, right? Superman, I don't care. But when it comes to the scientific side of things, this is what it is. And they want to change that. And this is the thing. Here's the political correctness that runs amok. You can hear it in the professor's voice. But it's not just the professor. There's a lot of people out there who clap when they think it's appropriate to clap because they think everybody else is doing it, even though in their heart they don't buy into it. More and more people and more polls are showing that even the people on the left are over political correctness because they realize talk about doing harm to our country. That's one of those things that is doing real harm on an everyday societal, situational plane that we live on. It does a lot more damage than a lot of other things. It does. And it's a joke. I mean, case in point, here's a perfect example of Christian Bale, I call him, but he's the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, and talking about toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity.
Yep.
And you said, quote, that the most dangerous words in the English language are man up, be a man, and don't be a sissy.
Yeah.
Like, really? Those are the most dangerous words?
Yeah, I think a lot of things can be explained in that respect. What was the most interesting part of this election, 2016, was the number of white men of working age that aren't working any longer.
Like most people would say, like, it's just an expression like man up, right? Like toughen up.
Well, man up. That sort of reinforces the frame, and so that's
right.
good.
But I'm saying, but you're saying like that's super.
Yeah, I think
dangerous.
that's a weak thing to say. It's weak.
That is such a pandering. And that's the stuff that drives people crazy. Man up, right? Sissy. These are the most dangerous words in the world. It's a joke. It is. And I'll tell you, Beto, who's going to be on stage tonight, right, doing his thing, doing his Beto thing. You know what's hurt his campaign the most? How apologetic he is for everything that's ever been done to anybody ever. That's not a winning formula, to go out and to apologize and hope not to lose. And if you do, apologize in doing so. We've got this bizarre social justice, virtue signaling BS, and we act as if, oh, yeah, I'm clapping because but many times I've got friends of mine who privately, who are very liberal, right? And most of it's real issue liberals, like, dealing with real education. We have different, but when it comes, they'll play the PC game, but off script when we're just hanging out, being boys, they're anything but. But they'll clap at the right time because they know that's what you got to do. And I think a lot of that is out there and it's getting ingrained in there, and people are fearful not to be seen in a certain way. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. We got 10 tonight in the ring. We got 10 tomorrow in the ring. Right now, hunkered down somewhere in a discreet location. Biden practicing. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
independent thought, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
And just to give you a sense of how unsanitary the conditions are in these facilities, one of the lawyers we spoke to went to one of these facilities once. She contracted influenza A, had to spend 3 days in the hospital. Now, CBP says that its numbers of children in these facilities has been reduced from about 2,500 to 1,000.
Which is good, but it's still way too many. Yesterday I said we need to do more. I've got, but a bunch of crazies that are out there that are like, they just come after you. Oh, what are you going to do? I said, look, I tried to figure out what you can do. And a lot of it is just helping the local areas in and around where you are as far as the stuff that they need. It's not like they're going to go just hand these kids out, but we need to do a better job. And I'm just so amazed. Like, we didn't ask them to come here. It's like, get over yourself. Stop being so tribal and look at it from a humanitarian crisis. That's it, right? Let the politics work itself out. You being angry ain't going to fix it. You being an a-hole isn't going to fix it. It isn't. And when it comes to kids, look, I got a soft spot. And this is not right. It's not. We can do better. But it's not going away because it's too good to pass up. The politics are too good to pass up. The bases get energized. The money starts flowing in. The relevance of each politician gets bigger and bigger. You can't pass that up. The tragedy of the father and the little child is awful. But the politics behind it, ugh. And like right now, today you got AOC with Wayfair. They staged a walkout because they make beds that happen to go to these facilities. You're like, because the politics is so good. I mean, this is the gift that keeps on giving. You're not going to give that up. You're just not. It's too hard. Right? You know what it is? It's heroin to them. It's the addiction of they're addicted to the political process and the fighting. They're not interested in solutions that would take that away. They don't want to get clean. They're not interested in that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Tonight, the Dems will debate in Florida. Warren, Beto, probably the most popular. Cory Booker, I would say, is third. And then outside of that, it's kind of a free-for-all of nothingness, but it's Warren's tonight. Trump is like, I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to watch it. I'm watching it. I'm not going to watch it. I'm watching it. I'm not going to watch it. He's going to watch it. He's going to tweet the hell out of it.
I know you're going to be on a plane. You're on your way to Japan.
Yeah, everyone said I'll be tweeting. I'll actually be in a plane, and it just seems very boring, but I'm going to watch it because I have to. That's part of my life. It's part of my life. Do I want to watch it? Do I want to watch these people? That's a very unexciting group.
He's going to watch it because he knows he's going to be able to say a bunch of things that are going to get people, Here's the thing about Trump is the Trump bump for the media is dying fast. Same thing even goes for social media. It's not getting the same amount of retweets. It's not getting the same amount of likes. People that are going out there and hammering Trump aren't getting the same amount of views, aren't getting the same amount of likes because people are exhausted. They're just over it. So tonight will be something a little bit different because, you have a chance now to separate yourself and to see who is really a contender and who's a pretender. But I think that you've got four people that have a real shot at doing something, right? You got Biden, and he's in tomorrow night. You got Bernie. You got Elizabeth Warren. That are your three biggies. Buttigieg. We'll see what happens. He's and tomorrow night, don't be surprised, too, if they hammer him based on what's going on in his city with the police and the shootings and things like that. That could get ugly for him. Big time. And that's really about it. Maybe one or two may surprise. So they'll start as fast as they have shown up. They will slowly but surely start to fall off. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Netflix, is there trouble?
Netflix saying goodbye to The Office.
No! God, please, no!
The NBC sitcom leaving the streaming service to go to NBC Universal streaming service, which is set to launch next year.
That's what she said.
And in case you think, oh, it's an NBC show, so they got it for free, not the case.
Sold for $300 to me!
NBCU won the rights in an auction, outbidding Netflix, Apple, and others, paying $100 million a year for 5 years to get the show, according to The Hollywood Reporter. The Office not leaving Netflix just yet. It'll happen by early 2021.
And why that's interesting is Amazon's struggling right now because their viewership on their thing is off. Netflix has two shows that a majority of the people that tune into Netflix has said, if you lose these two shows, you're going to lose a huge amount of audience. One of them was The Office. The other is Friends. They just paid huge money to extend Friends, and losing The Office, they say, will lose about 20% potentially of their viewership. And when you think about the amount of money that they're pumping in for new stuff, because they're trying to find how do they replicate that. And the problem with something like The Office comparatively to what they're trying to do is what they do. Their business model is we have really high production quality, but we have a limited run. So you may get 6 or 8 episodes. The Office and Friends have hundreds of episodes, and they're characters you love. And on top of that, it's not so crazy convoluted where they can't be a singular thing. People don't really binge watch them in the sense that they don't sit down and watch it from the beginning to the end. They'll just tune it in and say, oh, I'm going to watch this. And they can go wherever, and they're fine with that. And they don't have that. Netflix isn't producing shows with hundreds of episodes. And the other thing is, too, is it was a consistency, right? Consistency meaning you've got Stranger Things coming out in like a week and a half, season 3. By the time, season 4 goes around, everybody on that show is going to be 37 years old, and they started when they were like 10. It's having that you want that kind of consistency, and it's home cooking. That's what I always tell everybody. This is home cooking. Friends, Office, you have that show that's home cooking. You can turn it on. For me, I enjoy Family Guy just to like relax or Gunsmoke. I don't need a convoluted thing where I've got to try to figure out what's going on. It's too much for me. I could just turn on my Gunsmoke that I tape, and I can watch it from wherever, and there it is. Comfort. And Netflix and Amazon and them, they're not producing that. High quality, yes, but not enough. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at me. Is it a win in politics for the Republicans in Oregon? It might be.
Oregon's Republican senators are still missing. They've been in hiding for 6 days to avoid a vote on a greenhouse gas emissions bill. The now Senate Majority Leader, Jenny Burdick, says whether Republicans come back or not, the climate bill is likely dead because not enough Democrats support it anymore.
I don't think you can get much clearer than to say a bill does not have the votes.
With the Republicans out of state, the Senate doesn't have enough members to hold a vote, but even with Democrats saying the bill is likely dead, it hasn't been enough to entice Republicans to go home.
So they've escaped, right? Because if they're there, they have enough people to vote. And it's a really weird situation. They don't have enough people to vote. Most of these Republicans represent rural areas, and the climate emissions and what they're trying to do in the rollbacks and stuff would crush those areas. So for their constituents, they're like, we're not going to do this. This is ridiculous. And so they've gone into hiding. In fact, to the point where they're getting fined, I think, $500 a day, and they've sent the police out looking for them. But from what I understand, they're all essentially out of state. And everybody I've seen that's talked about this gets into a situation where they're like, well, that is so awful. Only the Republican. No. The first to do this were the Democrats in Oregon in, I think, 2001, when they didn't have the numbers and it was ruled by the Republicans, and it's now switched. And that shows you as a perfect example right there, right, of how important, first of all, the states are, and I think where we're going as we become more tribal, how important states are, but also how one-sided everything is. You know, if you're a Republican in a few states or a Democrat in a few states, you got issues as far as you feeling like everything as far as politically for you is it doesn't matter. You're being left behind, right? If you're a Republican in California, you're being left behind. Same thing probably if you're a Democrat in Texas. You're being left behind. And the battle's out there. This is really funny. There's a thing out there. It's California versus Texas, right? It's this little thing because you've got people that are coming out to California and recruiting to bring to other states your business, your tax money, and you're seeing it not only there, but in New Jersey and high tax states. Hey, come here. And was it you, producer Phil, that sent me that hilarious bumper sticker that says don't, and then has a picture of California, and then a picture of Texas?
No, it was Anthony.
Anthony, it's great. Yeah, it's great. And I get it. Like I get it. I don't want that, right? I don't want, like when I was in Texas, last thing I want is a bunch of people from California coming out there and leaving because they can't stand the politics or the ridiculousness of California, but believing in a lot of that and then coming to another state and trying to implement that there. But California versus Texas, this was striking right here.
California has the fourth highest cost of living at 132% of the national average, while Texas has the second lowest cost of living at 90%. California has a minimum wage of $8, while Texas has a $7.25 minimum wage. California was the first state to become a $1 trillion economy, and if it was a country, it would be the sixth largest in the world, surpassing France.
Yeah, for their economy. By the way, Texas, I think, is number 9 or 10. But the cost of living is a perfect example of that. And states are, I see it more and more, and I think it's going to be that way. The battle among states for your future is going to be huge. Because they're going to recruit you, they're going to bring you there. They're going to want you to, and they're going to entice you with things like lower regulations or no state taxes, or entice you with things like, I'm trying to think, well, like if you're going to go, why would you go to New Jersey? Hey, come here. It's like we have super high gas prices and a lot of crazy taxes and regulations through the woohoo. No. Where would you be, right? Given the choice. And every time I talk about something like this, I get a ton of text messages say, hey, Chad, we've been here for X amount of years in California or wherever, and they say, I'm leaving because of that. And I get it, right? And that cost of living thing, don't discount that. Gas, don't discount that. Don't discount those little things, even if your political belief is to the left or to the right. You may make a choice based on economics. But I think politics and our tribalism in the battle for us is going to play a massive part in where a lot of people are going to gravitate to. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Roman is going to sort it out for you guys. You never have to leave the house. Dealing with something like erectile dysfunction can be embarrassing. The ego thing. We don't even go in. If we twist an ankle, we may not even go to the doctors for, it's fine. The bone's sticking out. It'll be okay. No. And ED's the same way. 70% of men don't go to the doctors to get it sorted out. A lot of reasons. But Roman's made it so easy. All you have to do is go to GetRoman.com/Benson. And from the comfort of your own home, you can see a licensed U.S. physician who can even diagnose you with ED and ship medication to your door in unmarked packaging, and you never have to leave the house. No waiting room, no awkward conversations, none of that stuff. It's simple and easy. You go to GetRoman.com, you fill out /Benson, you get this dynamic online visit form, you fill that out, and then chat with a doctor, and away you go. It's so simple, it's so easy, and it's comfortable right from your home, and the visit is absolutely free. Check it out for yourself. Go to GetRoman.com/Benson. 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 It's the Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say woo!
Cause I eat my spinach.
Yes, Popeye had it right. He had the spinach, right? He eats the spinach. Arr. Okay, so spinach may be put on WADA's banned list. That's the World Doping Agency. So people in the Olympics and other sports may not be allowed to eat spinach because it has ectosteroid in it, or ectostrone, which is essentially a steroid, as they're calling it, a muscle enhancer, ectosteroids. So they did this study, and I'm saying, woo, they did this study, and they did a control group, right, a bunch of people, and did it for 10 weeks. And what they found was, it was 46 men. Each were given either a placebo or daily supplements that contained as much ectosteroid as 8.8 pounds of spinach, which is insane, but whatever. They put them through strength training. The men who received the ectosteroid pills, which is naturally inside of spinach, developed more muscle mass, had up to 3 times the strength gains as the placebo group. Even more relevant with respect to the sports performance, they said, it was more pronounced increase in 1 repetitions of bench press, meaning people that were doing bench press, they were able the size they put on and the mass was huge. You can buy ectosteroid as just out like, at a health food store, but it's naturally found in spinach. And so they're saying that maybe they need to ban spinach. And I've always thought to myself, Popeye was a mess. Don't listen to that. And then ectosteroid thing's a bunch of baloney. If you don't believe me, here's a doctor that will tell you that.
Sir, I think you should know these growths on your forearms. They're giant tumors. Oh dear. Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't realized this is not how a human being is supposed to look. And the speech thing and what you're doing with your eye? You had a stroke about 7 years ago. That you've managed to be walking around all this time is nothing short of a miracle. I'd say about 2 months.
Sad. Just putting it out there. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Producer Phil, remind the world about what would happen in nature.
Nature will mess you up.
Mess you up. Case in point, a man has been found inside of a cave, alive, a bear cave, where he was apparently storing the food. He had been there for a month. He is a mess. He looks like death warmed over. Nature will mess you up, kids. I want you to understand that. We give you that little thing. It's not funny. It is a warning that nature may indeed mess you up. 10 people on stage. They will all enter. Who will leave? I say all 10, but you never know. You never know. Should be interesting. The debates. Whoa. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It's humanitarian aid. It's very important. And I think that a lot of people are starting to realize that I was right when I said we have a crisis at the border. Everyone's saying now we had a crisis at the border. It wasn't a manufactured crisis, which they were saying.
Trump earlier talking about what's going on at the crisis at the border. You said emergency. Liar, pants on fire. It's a problem at the border. Can we acknowledge? And I've been saying, I don't care what you call it, right? Do not care what you call it. An issue, a crisis, an emergency, a troubling situation. It's something that needs to be dealt with. It's not going to be dealt with. All day today, you're going to see a picture of an El Salvadorian man and his child who drowned. It's an awful picture. We've got a problem at the border that is not being dealt with. And on our side, we've got a problem with facilities that are understaffed, that aren't set up to house children, that are filthy and disgusting, and we got to do better there. And he talked about it's a humanitarian crisis. We need to do something about it. We need to do something. We need funding. The funding comes from, this is the same funding we were talking about, Health and Human Services funding. At the beginning of the year, remember that when they all walked out and like, we can't get anything done. We're walking out. No, the government shut down. This is the funding that is running out, and we need it. Now, they can do an emergency bill so we can take care of some of the stuff that needs to be done. So what happened yesterday is they pass a bill, right? Now, they pass a bill that essentially, it's not a clean bill. It's not an emergency funding to help take care of the situation there with the detention centers and the kids and everything. It has money in there for that, but then it also hamstrings, if you will, ICE and Border Patrol on apprehension and deportations and da-da-da-da. So inside of it is a bunch of other things. The Republicans like, we're not signing that. And Trump said, I don't think I'm going to sign that thing. On the other side, you have the Senate voting in a little while about another bill. So they're coming out and voting on a bill. Then Nancy Pelosi came out and already said, we will refuse to take the Senate's bill. So in the end, what do you have? The same thing you have yesterday, which was a nightmare, a battle, but you have politics.
Those activists who've gotten inside have spoken to children. They are telling us that children as young as 5 months old have been left hungry. Kids left in their filthy clothes for weeks at a time, denied soap and toothpaste. Now, all of this caused this massive uproar. Border Patrol taking out 250 kids from this facility. But we've just learned that 100 children have been brought back into this facility.
Yeah. And it's nasty and it's gross and we got to do better and we should be doing better and we're not. And it doesn't make us look good. It doesn't make the administration look good. But I will tell you guys this right now. I didn't look at Obama and say, this is your problem. And I don't look at Trump. Trump's trying to address it and he made it a huge part of his campaign, probably the thing. But I look at years of ignoring the problem, years of benefiting from it, both sides, by the way. And now when it becomes a big issue, they make it politics. And here's the thing about their politics, kids. I want you guys to understand this. This picture today that they're going to show you, which is awful, that you're seeing everywhere, and it's horrible. And we debated whether or not to put it up on Facebook or Twitter. I tweeted it. We didn't put it on Facebook. But I will tell you this. It's a drug to them. It is. It's a drug. They're addicted to the politics. They're addicted to the tribalism. They're addicted to the cash that it can raise. They're addicted to the debate that they get to have with one another. They're addicted to it. It is their drug. We should put them on that show, right? And all of us should get in a room. And then they all walk in, and then they realize, it's an intervention. And we could read, "Dear dumbass politicians, we would like to really love you, but you're not who we recognize anymore. You've continued to take from us while giving us nothing in return and lying to us over and over again. Because of your addiction to the problem and not the solution, I can no longer allow you to be in my life." And that's what we should be doing. It is the politics. They're addicted to it. The money, all of this. And they're not going to let it go to waste. So the big excitement of passing something yesterday, finding out that there's other stuff in it, the debate that's going on in the Senate and whether or not they pass it, they're already told, don't even worry about doing this because we're not going to take what you've given us. So here we are again. It's an addiction, and we need to have an intervention. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Trump also talked about the excitement that is Mueller, kids. Oh, goodness me. Isn't this exciting, right? Here it is. Mueller's going to testify on the 17th of July. It's must-see TV.
There was no collusion. There was no obstruction. There was no nothing. How many times do we have to hear it? It never ends. It just keeps going on and on. I've been going through this for 2 years, 2.5 years, and the criminal activity was on the other side.
Yeah, it's never ending, and it's not going to end because there are a group of people that they have made this their mission. What's happening elsewhere, things that need to be, because I know that, in middle America to southern part of the country, to the northeastern part, to the northwest part, down through the southwest part, that all people are doing at night is discussing Mueller, and they're not. The debates tonight will show you exactly that. They're not. They want to talk about health care. They want to talk about the economy. They want to talk about immigration. All the other stuff, it's non-starter, right? This is theater because it's the politics again. It's the politics. They're addicted to the politics. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Something interesting that's happening right now is Google execs are on the Hill kind of getting hammered about things that people are asking, because it's once again a situation where people are asking the question, is there a little bit of bias here? Is there some issues going on here inside of your companies where you're supposed to be we're free speech and it's a forum for everybody, but we're going to decide what political leanings get to go places, and we'll even go as so far as to fool you in some cases by allowing you to do something, but really we're not going to allow you to put it out there. You'll see it, but nobody else will. I mean, it's craziness. And now Google's having their time. So we've had YouTube, we've had Twitter, we've had Facebook. It's Google's turn now.
As you know, Google enjoys a special immunity from liability under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. The predicate for that immunity was that Google and other big tech media companies would be neutral public fora. Google consider itself a neutral public forum?
Yes, it does.
Are you familiar with a report that was released yesterday from Veritas, a whistleblower from within Google that...
Yes, I heard about that report.
Have you seen the report?
No, I have not.
So you didn't review the report to prepare for this hearing?
It's been a busy day, and I have a day job.
Sorry, this hearing is impinging on your day job.
No. I got to be honest with you. That's what you're going to say? Like, right now, like, I'm at Google, I'm like, who is this? And she's got to go. Right? Like, I'm very busy. I've got a day job. This is really, pain in my ass. It is. I've got things. Right? Things. I have a job. Things. Now, Project Veritas, in fairness, not a big fan. Right? I think they're sleazy. I think they do stuff. I think they parade stuff out there and they show you a story, but it's one side of the story. It's not always the entire story, right? And the Hannitys and everybody else in the world jump on and say, look at this. I don't buy it, right? What's on the cutting room floor? Again, tell me the entire story. I'm a big person. If you're going to do something, let me work it out for myself. But we all know that there's issues inside of these companies. We all know. Now, is it the company heads, or is it inside of the actual company itself where individuals are making certain decisions? And I talk about this, and why it's important is because we've got an election. And one of the things that Trump used was social media to get himself elected. Could you imagine if the YouTubes and the Twitters and the Googles and everybody else decided that they weren't going to allow that to happen again? They weren't going to let him do the things he did. They were going to try to quell free speech. They were going to do some of these things and it came from the higher ups, that these things that so many of us depend on and use and who get stuff from us, the taxpayers, as we worry about Russia, we could find out we got bigger issues at home.
There's a video from a woman, Jen Janai. It's a secret video that was recorded. Jen Janai, as I understand it, is the head of, quote, responsible innovation for Google. She is shown in the video saying, and Elizabeth Warren is saying that we should break up Google. I love her, but she's very misguided. Because all these smaller companies who don't have the same resources that we do will be charged with preventing the next Trump situation. Do you think it's Google's job to, quote, prevent the next Trump situation?
I don't agree with that.
But it's happening. It's happening on your watch, and it's happening across the board, and we know it's happening. And again, I've talked about just the weirdness that happens with our Facebook and our Twitter and our Instagram and what can and can't be done and all of these. It does get frustrating. And why are rules one way? Here's my thing. I don't care what the rules are. Just tell me the rules. But when you tell me the rules and then one side doesn't have to follow them and the other side, well, even when they follow them, those rules for them may change at any given time, is when the frustration comes. And so, yeah, I worry about the election, but I worry just as much about interference from big tech as I do from outside. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. You going to watch the debate tonight? Like to know. Text at me. Tell me yes or no. And if you are going to watch the debates over the next couple of days, who do you think may surprise, right? And I know a lot of people listening out there, I hate all these people. Look, what do I tell you all the time, right? You're a free agent. The minute Trump became president, and I'll say it, I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Kasich. I like Kasich. But he's our president. I want to support him. And if he does good, I'll say he does good. If he does bad, I'm going to tell you that. But you should always be, the minute everything and the dust is settled, you should be a free agent. Make them earn your vote. Make them earn it. You going to watch? Text me. 323-538-CHAD. All right. My pillow. Slept like a baby last night. Needed it. Woo, good. Jack and I have been going hard. Crazy. We went scorpion hunting last night. It was awesome. But I needed it. I was exhausted. I went to bed about 12:30 the night before. I was up at 4, and I am beat. And went home last night, and after scorpion hunting, boom, straight to bed. Both Jack and I, my pillows, boom, out like a light. It is incredible. Here's what they're doing for my listeners. $34.99 per pillow. So you can get 2 premium pillows, less than $70. They're going to give you a 60-day money-back guarantee. So you try it, and if you don't like it, I think you're going to love it. Get your money back. It's a no-lose situation for you. How incredible is that? Made in the USA, 10-year warranty, machine washable and dryable. Now is your chance. Go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. It's MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. 2 premium pillows, less than $70, free shipping, and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Call 800-983-4975. Use the promo code Benson or go to MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show, where we make no apologies, although we do say a few Hail Marys and Our Fathers now and then. Amen.
I'm not going to the White House. No, I'm not going to the White House. We're not going to be invited.
You're not going to be invited?
I doubt it.
Megan Rapinoe was one of the stars and the captain of the U.S. women's national team. They play France on Friday in France in the Women's World Cup. Tickets are sold out. Expensive to go see it. And we're one of the favorites, France and us. Then a lot of people think this is the final before the final. She says, I'm not going to the blanking White House. And she's been she's woke, right? She's a lesbian. She wants equality. All that you can talk about all that stuff. She's a hell of a player. And look, take your stance, do what you need to do. The beauty of America is you're able to protest like you do with the anthem and the whole 9 yards. That is the beauty of our country. That's the greatness of our country. So she said she's not going to go to the White House. We're not even going to be invited. Trump today said, I think what you just said was disrespectful. And yes, you are invited to the White House. You're absolutely invited to the White House. And over the last couple of years since Trump has become president, and this is another one of those things where I don't know why we invite teams to the White House. I don't know what that's all about, right? It's like pardoning the turkey and things like that. I just... teams because of Trump, some teams are choosing not to show up and some teams are. Tim Thomas didn't do it when Obama was president. And he was the goaltender for the then Stanley Cup champion Boston Bruins, and he sent a thing declining, saying, I don't want to go. This is my individual choice. And, this long diatribe about how big federal government is and our liberties should be taken away and the whole 9 yards. And it's interesting. He invited him today. He said, look, you guys are invited, totally invited. And I hope she goes, because I think not going is a mistake. Go, talk to him. You're going to have him in a situation where you can have a chat with him. Talk to him. Right? If that's what you want. We'll see. We'll see. But it's now it's now overriding what the women are doing over there. Which shouldn't be. And I'm polling for him. Didn't like the way we acted in the first game, but the way we've gone since then, I think is damn good. And I'm polling for him. I want us to win. France is going to be a tough game. Anytime the host has a game like this, quarterfinals, it's going to be a tough game. But I still think, based on all I've seen, we're going to win. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love to hear from everybody. The debates tonight, several of you have texting in and tweeting in saying you're going to watch some of the debates but probably catch the highlights. Well, if you can't make it, don't worry. That's what I'm for. We'll make sure we catch you up on everything and anything that has to do with tonight and tomorrow's debates. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I'm repulsed by lots of politicians. They pander to get our attention. A former prosecutor laughs with radio hosts while lying about the music she liked in college.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah, definitely Snoop. Tupac.
But Snoop and Tupac didn't even perform when she was in college. And when they did, she was busy imprisoning people on pot charges. Abraham Lincoln complained that politicians are driven by a voracious desire for office. Well, it's not better today. Not only are they mad for power, they push bad ideas.
Yes, bad ideas. And tonight's the first night on display of a lot of bad ideas. Not saying that all the ideas that are going to come out over the next 2 years are bad ideas, but there's a lot. When you look at some of the craziness and the pandering of we're going to get rid of this and we're going to give you free this and we're going to do this and this is going to be free, and you're going to have people on the stage tonight and tomorrow night that are going to wipe out your college debt, right? Just get rid of it. Elizabeth Warren is going to eliminate $50,000 of it if you make $100,000 or less. And if you make between 100 and I think 250, it's a little bit less. And anything over 250, you're not getting that wiped out. But, they're going to get rid of your debt. They're going to give you free health care. Some are going to give you an option. Others are just going to say, nope, the government's going to run it. Period. Case closed. Free health care is coming your way. There's so many different ideas that you're going to find out tonight. And here's some other ideas that you may hear about that aren't talked about. How about something from Bernie that doesn't get mentioned?
Are you ready for the post office to go into banking? Bernie Sanders claims the
Postal Service can make billions of dollars a year by establishing basic banking services.
Really? The people who mishandle mail?
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
The post office just lost another $1 billion. Now they're going to manage our money? Sanders also wants
a ban on for-profit charter schools.
Why? Sanders has said,
I believe we do have a moral obligation to lift up the poorest people.
But Sanders would freeze funding for even non-profit charters.
Yeah. Well, because you're in the pocket of the unions, right? You're in the pocket of the unions. So you got to make sure that the teachers union, that you get rid of those charters. Anything that's going to bring competition in. And by the way, here's my thing with Bernie, and he's on tomorrow night. My thing with Bernie is he's a lot further more radical than people want to believe. This is a guy who, talked up a good game through the 60s and 70s with communism and awful leaders and praised them. And this is a guy who, while not probably that far anymore, is definitely would love to see a lot more government control. And I want no part of that. I want less government control. I do. We need government, and there should be a hell of a good balance. And I think we can even have public and private scenarios that work outstanding. But no. And the last thing I want is the post office and banking. Really?
Senator Gillibrand wants to force everyone to buy fertility treatment insurance.
Real structural change.
Elizabeth Warren plans to change all kinds of things.
The cancellation of student loan debt of up to $50,000.
She'd also ban all oil and gas drilling on federal land.
Our very existence is at stake.
Closing that pay gap.
Kamala Harris wants companies to prove they pay men and women equally.
Oh, there will be penalties if they don't.
But salaries vary for lots of reasons, unrelated to sexism.
Yeah, but doesn't matter, because that's what it's about. And it's the pandering side of things. That's why I look at Hickenlooper and I say, well, you're interesting, because you've come out and you looked right into the teeth of it in the uber progressive California at the Democratic convention there, and you looked right at their big meeting. You said socialism's not going to work. And by the way, old Stossel here hammered the president.
China.
The Republican frontrunner has bad ideas, too.
Our trade deficit in goods with the world last year was nearly $800 billion. We lost on just trade $800 billion.
No, Mr. President, we didn't lose $800 billion. The trade deficit just means foreigners sent us $800 billion more goods than we sent them. We got product. In return, they got this paper, which they'll invest in the U.S.
And they do, in a lot of ways. And I'm not huge on trade. I understand the trade war with China because it's bigger than this, and it has a lot more to do with control and the battle of these two giants that are left here standing and where this globe is going to go politically. So I get that. But, I've never been a big fan of that, the trade. And any kind. I'm a free market kind of guy. There'll be some good ideas, and there'll be some bad ideas tonight. But there's going to be a lot of pandering. But I will tell you this. If I'm a Democrat and I'm on stage and they've got, if I was advising any of these people, any of them, I would look and say, you're running to be the nominee, not the president. Remember that. Trump looked around and said, I need to be the nominee before I can be the president. Everybody else was running for president. Tonight, if I could give advice, I'd say, run to be the nominee. You don't have to be the best in the world right now. You just have to be the best on stage. Run to be the nominee, not the president. That'll take you farther. They do have rules for tonight, which will be interesting because I look at these rules and I listen to what they're saying the rules are, and I question even those.
They have it lined up right now, so it was random draw, who got tonight, who gets tomorrow night, and then it's positioned in such a way that the candidates with the highest polling figures are in the middle, and it spreads out from there. The way this is being done, no opening statements, so no candidates are going to have no opening statements. They have 2 hours, which includes commercial breaks. They get 1-minute answers, 30-second rebuttals. So I did the math on this. When you subtract out time for the questions, the commercial breaks, it averages about 8 minutes per candidate.
And I think it'll be less than that because you have 5 moderators who are going to want to do their thing. And, nobody ever goes the time limit they're supposed to because you want to be the last word. And so I wouldn't be surprised at 5.5 minutes. We'll see. This will be really interesting. It'll be. The battle is on. The battle is going to be on. But tonight is a precursor. What will be tomorrow night is the heavyweight fight, right? This is the undercard. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Other people's money. Now, we're trying to get this guy on. I was flipping around. I don't know, Phil, if you're like me, you go on and you find weird things on certain things. And I found this guy named Chuck Collins, and I found him to be interesting. I've read some of his stuff, and he was doing a speech, and it was about, I want to say it was about a week or two ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. And who he is he's the director, the program of inequity and the common good at the Institute for Policy Studies. So uber left-wing, super group think, just, and I sit there and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I want to see what he has to say. And it was on it's on this TV station that's called like Free Speech TV. So you like One American News, which I've seen it once and I'm like, this is off. I mean, whatever. And then you got like Newsmax, and then you've got like, a Spanish station and then a religious station. And then there's this Free Speech TV, and they've got David Paxman and a few other people on there. Then I'm like, normally it's just a bunch of college professors giving lectures, but this was interesting. And it's about the fact, and this is something, we have a class warfare, especially on the left, that they're trying to do the inequities of the world and blah, blah, blah. And the thing that interests me is I always hear all the time how greedy Wall Street is, how greedy rich people are, how greedy successful people are. It's greed, 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 greed. But nobody ever talks about the fact that politicians are just as greedy, and they want yours, right? They want yours. So he does this hour and 15-minute lecture, and I kind of get sucked into it. And I picked a few excerpts from it, and I just sit there and I think to myself, God, this is how a lot of these people think. It is.
People who have a lot of wealth are virtuous. Let's be clear. These extreme levels of income and wealth inequality that we're living through have nothing to do with individual effort or deservedness. These are deeply systemic inequalities that are the result of rigged rules in the economy. Right? And yet, those powerful stories still persist. You may have noticed that data doesn't change people's minds, but powerful stories can resist all the data you provide.
Which right there, first and foremost, is scary. When he talks about virtuous, he's talking about the fact that we have these thoughts that, people that are successful for, because they're virtuous. I'm like, I've never, ever, ever in my life have ever thought any of these things. I don't know where they get this stuff and some of the stuff they come up with, but it drives me crazy. But he says something there that's amazing, which is stories over data. And that's what we talk about all the times. Facts and feelings. And feelings across the board in everything nowadays override facts and data. That's the reality of it. So you got to tell a story. And the story from the left is rich people are only rich because they've stolen from everybody. Rich people are only rich because they were given everything to everybody. And then they break down story after story of how evil, in a lot of ways, rich people are, but how good they can be and virtuous they can be if they just give us more of their stuff.
And so one of the things that I encourage people to do wherever they are is to try to lift up and tell true stories of how advantage works and demystify and disrupt the story of individual deservedness.
Which is the exact opposite of what we are. The beauty of America is it is about the individual. I never once in my life have said, oh, I've gotten to where I've gotten because it's all me. But you know what? I put in the work. I put in the effort. I put in the sacrifice. And along the way, people have helped me. And in return, I have tried to help and mentor and do what I can to help other people. But along the way, let me tell you else what I've got. I got a lot of people telling me you're never going to do it. I got a lot of people that have told me, you had no chance. You're never going to be anything of what you think you're going to be. From the time I went over to Europe and tried to play pro soccer and did what I did to being in radio and to do voice work and all this stuff, a ton of people that were naysayers. Found the right people, got mentored, busted my ass, sacrificed. So yeah, I'm here. And a good portion of it was me. And then he went on to talk about, like a lot of people, the wealth tax, which just, I'll say this. If and when I'm blessed enough to have a crap ton of money, which is what I'm working for, if and when that happens, no, I don't want to give you my money. I don't want to give you what I busted my ass to get. I don't. Sorry. Right? But you want to give it to your kids? Yeah, absolutely. 110%. And give it to other people and organizations that I feel are worthy of it. You know who I don't think is worthy of it? The government. I don't. You're always looking to transfer the thing that is temporary and not transfer the thing that will stick. You don't want to help transfer the knowledge. You just want to take and give and trickle down. You say trickle down economics doesn't work in the private sector? Well, it doesn't work in the public sector either. And I said this last night. Tell you what, I got $30 million in the bank, and I find out that, hey, you're going to get a 50, 60, 90% wealth tax. I'll set up a trust fund the kids can only access, and hell yeah, I'd go offshore, and the rest of the money that everybody else think they'd get, I'd blow it up. Big time. We're going to go out in style. You ain't getting nothing. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Teeth, speaking of $1 million, you want $1 million smile? Candid will do it. Clear aligners, custom created for you. That's what they'll do. Candid has an orthodontist who's licensed in your state. They're going to create a treatment plan for you. Then they're going to send you a 3D preview, and away you go. You never have to go to an orthodontist office ever. It is that easy. 65% less than braces. You're going to save thousands of dollars. You're going to have straighter, brighter teeth in an average of just 6 months. And right now, my listeners, that's you guys. How about this? $75 off. Check it out for yourself. It is amazing. CandidCo.com/Benson. $75 off. All the information you need. CandidCo.com/Benson. CandidCo.com/Benson. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson, Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
You have to change the loopholes. You have to change asylum. You wouldn't have this problem. They're not working on that, unfortunately, today. What they're working on is aid. It's humanitarian aid for the children. It seems that the Senate is very close. I think that Nancy wants to get something done, and the Senate and the House will get together. I think they'll be able to do something very good.
Nope, not going to happen. Senate passed something. There was a lot of stuff in there that would have hamstrung the administration and several of the agencies and how they want to enforce certain things. And so he's unsure about that bill as the president when it comes to immigration. On the other side, the Senate is battling, and there was supposed to be something, that could come out of it and passage or not. Nancy came out early in the morning and said, no, we're not going to take out the Senate. So at this point in time, what you're going to have is more battle over immigration that doesn't need to be there, especially when it comes to the humanitarian side. I'm not talking about the actual fix itself, I'm talking about the humanitarian side. And the reason is pretty simple. The politics is too damn addicting. They're not going to give that up. Not for nothing. No, they're going to continue to do this over and over and over again because they know it's a winning argument for themselves. And the money's too big. Got to keep coming in. Trump's bad, Democrats bad, Trump's bad, Democrat bad. It's all the same, kids. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter tonight. The battle is on. You got the Democrats going to their first debate, so it should be very interesting. Blink is amazing. It's incredible. They got XT2 cameras that are awesome. In tech motion, somebody gets close to your door like a robber, you're going to get something sent to your Blink smartphone app, a little snippet of it, and then, boom, away you go. It's a two-way talk feature as well, so if the kids come, whoever it is, right? You can say, hey, leave this here, do this. It's just amazing, and it's less than $100. That's where they start at, these XT2 cameras. Get yours today, totally affordable. Go to blinkprotect.com/Benson, blinkprotect.com/Benson, blinkprotect.com/Benson. Blink cameras available at Amazon and Best Buy. Blink is an Amazon company, and it works with Alexa. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. Have yourself a wonderful day. We'll be back to do it one more time, and then another time. Then it's vacation. I got like that. As always, have a good one. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.